And welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Kristin.
Hello, Susette.
So when I say we are winding up for summertime, we are winding up for summertime, and it's going to be a great summer.
Yes.
So what do we have going on?
I can tell you the Welcome Center is now officially open.
It is open. Great Welcome Center event.
Yes.
The other day.
Thank you. We had a good time. A lot of our businesses are so pleased with the location. So we're going to be open starting in June. We're going to be open 7 days a week.
And talk about being in the heart of Mystic.
We are in the heart of Mystic.
You've got the Golden Triangle. You've got the Exit 90 with the seaport, right across from the seaport.
Exactly.
Old Mystic Village and the aquarium, and then it connects you right to downtown. And what a wonderful place for you guys to be.
People are very excited, and we get them from all over the world. I'm not exaggerating.
Oh, yeah.
Every week. Yeah. People from Australia, Germany, England,
It's great.
and all over the country. So that's been a lot of fun.
Okay.
Also, our members are very excited about that. And we have networking events. Business Before Hours is going to be at Mystic Schooners.
Yeah.
We love
that's going to be great. Yeah.
And they're
Dennis Long and Company.
Yeah, we saw him on the show a few weeks ago, and they are opening the season this week as well. Or is it next week? It's this week.
I don't know, but all I know is that we said on the show we'd be there, so
yes, we're going to
listen to that.
And then, of course, we're so looking forward, Susette, to June 22nd, which is where we celebrate our 60th anniversary of the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival at an event called
Luxury Hits the Road. So it's Simply Majestic and Import Auto on Route 1. We're taking our jewelry and we're hitting the road, and we're going up and hosting a business after hours on June 22nd. So it should be fun.
No ordinary business after hours.
Not an ordinary business after hours, but
Epicure Brewery is going to be there.
Epicure Brewery is going to be there.
Blue Squid has cupcakes. We've got all kinds of food.
Cupcakes and Ocean Blue Catering, and Metza is going to be a part of it as well. But what we've got exciting news to announce too. We have 15 prizes. All you have to do is bring your business card, and you'll be able to win.
Yes.
15 prizes, and in those little prizes we have from our end of it is called the 49 watch, and it's a great watch if you want to kick off the summertime. So bring your business card, come June 22nd from 5 to 7, and also the unveiling of the 60th Mystic Outdoor Art Festival signature piece by artists and local artist Susan Noyes. So come on in and we'll have a great time. We'll see Kristin there, and business as usual, but bring your business cards.
Bring your business cards, and we're going to have a lot of food there, but I do want to warn you, like, I have learned so much about how to store and present and cook food from our next guest.
Well, yes, we have a show like no other show, and I am happy tonight to present to our audience Dottie LeBeau. Well, she's already throwing roaches, but we'll get to that. And Dottie is a food inspector, and I learned this evening also an instructor. So welcome, Dottie.
Thank you.
To our show. We're going to set up because I know that we have some images we want to show, but I'd like to know, and I really would like to know, how you got into this.
I retired from the Rhode Island Department of Health Office of Food Protection. I was a state inspector, and I also taught the food safety classes at the University of Rhode Island. So after 28 years with the state, I decided to retire, and my husband told me, don't think you're going to stay home and watch Jerry Springer all day. You got to get a job. So after,
not even Dr. Phil?
Not even Dr. Phil. So I decided I wanted to open my own business. And because I had been inspecting and I was teaching, I decided, well, I might as well have my own consulting, teach, inspect, and I have quite a reputation in Rhode Island right now from all the places I used to inspect. And then I started getting calls from Connecticut, people asking me to come down and teach classes and to do some inspections for them.
Right.
So the rules are different from Rhode Island than they are in Connecticut, is that?
Yes, the Connecticut's food code is a little different than Rhode Island, but right now it's being revised. They're trying to get it up to the same as the FDA food code, and they're also trying to get it so that every time the FDA changes their food code through resolution, Connecticut will update theirs.
So you have to keep up with the laws of what's going on as well.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
When I teach a class, I have to stop and say, okay, am I in Rhode Island, Connecticut, or Massachusetts? Okay, this law is a little different than the FDA, but it'll be nice when everybody try and gets on board with the same food code. So I only have one going through my head instead of four.
Well, I think that's fantastic that you retired and then opened up your own business, and it's considered a small business, so we think that's great, a great match for the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. But I just want to know, how, before we set it up, how important is this?
Food safety?
I mean, even like instructing to bring awareness.
It's very important because especially in a commercial kitchen, you could make a lot of people sick. And I think once people take the certification class and they realize all the things they've been doing at home, and a lot of times you'll get up in the morning and you might have a little upset stomach or diarrhea, and you just kind of blow it off and say, oh, it must have been something I ate. Well, healthy people like us, yeah, it probably was, but we can overcome that. But it's the people that are more at risk, like children, elderly, people with compromised immune system. The other ones who can't fight off a foodborne illness like we can.
Right. Well, I asked that question because I already know the answer, that it's very, very important. But you are actually going to show us this evening how important it actually is. Because I think a lot of this is taken for granted.
Well, and I look back in history. So I've been studying lately, like immigration in New York City and the tenements in New York City. There's an exhibit at the Mystic Seaport that has photographs of that era. And the sanitation back then was not great. And then reading histories of, say, being in France or in Europe and where the sanitation was not good and the preparation of the food wasn't proper, and even going all the way back to the Bible, right? Which, where they talked about kosher preparation. And a lot of that has to do with food safety and what the bacteria, et cetera, that you talk about, right, Dottie?
So you're gonna set this up for us, Frank, in a couple seconds, but I want to just say something. Remember when you tell your child or you say to anybody, oh, it's the 5-second rule?
Oh, please, I don't want to hear about the 5-second rule.
I got Dottie going here. But anyways, we're going to set up with the first image that Frank's going to show us, and just walk us through this, Dottie.
Okay, during an inspection, I opened the door for this is a walk-in refrigerator, walk-in freezer. And
you're supposed to be able to walk in.
Yes. Everything should be stored 6 inches up off the floor, which obviously it isn't in this picture. Everything should be what we call FIFO, first in, first out, so your older product is always up near the front.
Say that again, FIFO, first in, first out. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so older product is up towards the front.
But
here you can't
in this
even
case
tell.
here, you can't even tell what it is.
Okay, all right. So, moving along.
Okay, guess what that is?
Well, I actually got it right, and I said squash.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I looked at it, I said, that's summer squash, which summer?
Which summer?
Dottie, I knew this was going to be a great show. What is this, being marinated? I'm not quite sure what this is.
No, this was just on a bottom shelf in a refrigerator that somebody kind of overlooked, and obviously it didn't get thrown away after 7 days like it should have.
Okay, is that a rule, the 7 days? It's a rule? You're going to get into some of that?
Usually when you have a food that once you cook it, if you have leftovers, you're only allowed to keep it for 7 days.
And things should be dated.
Oh, yes.
And labeled and
everything.
sealed in a certain way as well. It seems like when you first learn about all this stuff, it seems like a pain that you would suddenly have to be writing more and communicating more, and rapping, etc. But it's really so important because it's the only way to communicate to somebody if you're not the person that's there in a food establishment.
So important.
Yeah.
So important.
Even at my house now, I'm doing this. I've got masking tape and a marker, and because I'm like, well, which I write Monday, but then I'm like, which Monday?
Right. Well, I just like what you set up there.
Well,
Okay.
Someone told my husband it was the 7-hour rule. I'll put something in the refrigerator at night, and when I get up the next morning, it's gone. And I said, we really have 7 days we can keep this in the refrigerator, not 7 hours.
7
You
hours.
taught it really well.
Yes.
And what do we have here?
This was a cutting board that was in a kitchen, and as you can see all that browned, that's
So you say a kitchen. This is a
a commercial kitchen.
commercial kitchen. Okay.
And that brown is mold. So no matter how much you try and clean and sanitize it, the mold just it gets so scored, it gets in there, you just can't get it out. So usually if I see a cutting board like that, I'll tell the people, we'll flip it over and order a new one. Well, in this...
And so you flipped it over, and we have the next... Yes!
So obviously he'd already flipped it over once, maybe twice, and this happens to be a wooden table. And we don't like to see wood in a kitchen because wood is, unless it's a tight grain wood, porous wood, you can't keep it clean. And obviously this table here, you can tell that hasn't been cleaned in a while. So when I told him you throw away the cutting board, you throw away the table too.
Yeah, right? Well, there's...
Okay.
So
All right, so-
we need people like Dottie to inspect our restaurants.
Absolutely.
So that she can say, don't feed this to anybody.
Wow. Okay.
It's so simple.
So that's going to set us up for the next slide.
Well, the story, yeah.
Oh,
When I walked into this walk-in refrigerator, this
Again.
is what I saw on the floor.
This is a goat head.
Yep, this is a goat. And where I was looking for the little blue seal that says USDA approved on it.
Sure.
And I'm not finding it anywhere on this animal.
Does it usually come that way? I mean, like if I ordered a
well-
goat from Cisco, would it come that way?
No,
Or no,
no.
it would come like already.
yeah. It would, I don't think it would
Chances
come
are
to-
it'd be off the bones.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like in the second half, you would never see
Oh,
Wow.
the guts of it in
So that's in
there.
his walk-in cooler along with the.
Yeah, that's in his
eggs.
walk-in refrigerator with all the other food. And when I asked him where he purchased it, I wanted to see his invoice. It was just a little piece of paper that had a guy's name and a cell phone number, and it said one goat, $100. The guy was raising goats in his backyard and selling them to the neighborhood markets.
Oh my gosh. So, wow, that just opened up my eyes, and now I am flooded with questions, and I don't even know where to begin.
So the new slow food movement, for instance,
Yeah,
where
right.
or the farm to table type of thing, where we've got food that we're growing and we're going to farmers markets, for instance, that stuff still has to be prepared in a commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So even if
Wow.
it's like some guy in his backyard raising goats, maybe you'd be like, oh, that's nice. But he has to prepare it when it has to be going through a process so that we know that the bacteria doesn't kill us, right? Is that?
Yeah, it has to be done in a licensed facility. You just can't do it in your own home.
Okay.
It's just like you could never make something at home if you owned a restaurant and then bring it in and sell it in your restaurant. Everything has to be done in a commercial kitchen.
When I lived in Michigan, they brought their deer that they shot. They would have to bring their deer to somebody to
Right,
have
to have
them
it-
separate it and to have all the meat prepared and cut into its different cuts. So they wouldn't be able to. They're not supposed to do it at home. Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
Dottie, keep us healthy. In our own kitchens, give us some guidelines and rules that we really need to go by.
One of the biggest things I find in commercial kitchens, people don't know how to wash their hands or they don't know how to count 20 seconds. And washing your hands is one of the 5 major causes of foodborne illnesses. People will go to a sink and they just put a little bit of soap on it and they do one of these real quickie 5-second hand wash jobs. And it's not just soap and friction in the hot water that's going to kill the germs. The 20 seconds is how many germs can we get down the drain. Mm-hmm. So if you're only doing a 5-second hand wash, there aren't too many germs going down the drain.
So they taught us in the class that you would sing "Happy Birthday"
Twice.
and
Twice.
and
And
that would be
That's 20 seconds.
yeah.
I see. Okay, so in our own kitchen,
Happy birthday.
You still
Same
have
thing.
to wash your hands.
Okay.
One thing that a lot of people aren't aware of, they buy chicken, like chicken cutlets, and they come home and then they want to rinse them off, and then they put them in the refrigerator or they'll freeze them for later use. But that's really something you shouldn't be doing because now you're just spreading salmonella all over your kitchen. You're better off leaving it in the package that you purchased it in, and then as you go to use it,
then rinse it off.
no, you don't even have to rinse it off.
You don't even have to rinse it off.
No.
You don't. Well, who told me that?
Probably your mother.
She did. So I'm learning this. So you just take it from the package to the
However
frying
you're
pan.
gonna If
Yeah.
you're going to bread it, if you're going to fry it, whatever you're going to do.
Okay.
So the perception must have been that the germs were like just hanging out on the top,
Yeah.
just waiting to be rinsed off like vegetables. But in fact, with meat and other things, then it's already built in. Is that the?
Well, it's there, but you don't want to be spreading it because if you put it in your sink and the water's splashing all over the place.
Oh, it's all over the counters
now
and
it's
all over in the sink.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many people just take a soapy rag or a sponge and wipe down their counters?
Right.
And now what have they done? They've just spread it.
Right.
And they've got it in the sponge. And how many people actually wash their sponges on a regular basis?
Yeah, I'm good at that. I just throw it away.
yeah.
I don't want anything.
Well, people put it in the dishwasher or they'll run it in the microwave.
Right.
But even then.
Yeah. Throw it away.
Yeah, throw it away. They're
Throw it
cheap
away.
enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So behind you have a chart of the bacteria, how fast bacteria grows.
Yes, if you time temperature abuse food, so you're not holding it at the right temperature, whether hot or cold. Say in the first one it has 5 bacteria. 20 minutes later, that's already multiplied to 10, and then 20 minutes later, it's already up. And then just every 20 minutes it keeps multiplying. So at the end of 4 hours, you've got 20,480 bacteria that started off 4 hours earlier at just 5.
So you've got potato salad, you've got fruit salad out,
Right.
you've got those things for
at
the
all the
picnics.
buffets. Well, this
and the
is what
buffets, yeah.
we're so glad that you're here because we're coming into the summer season. It sheds a whole new light on picnics.
Cold
For
cuts
me,
even, like if you
you know.
leave them out for 4 hours, then you're pretty good as long as it's not like 70 degrees.
The law is the 4-hour rule. If you don't take any temperatures within the 4 hours, if it's in the temperature danger zone between 41 and 140 here in Connecticut, you have to throw it away. But the FDA food code says technically that if you know exactly when it was 41 degrees and it stays under 70 degrees within 4 hours, you can technically hold it till 6 hours and then you could throw it away.
There's a lot of math involved.
Yeah.
in your
Yeah, I've got to
picnics
figure
now.
that all out.
Think about this. Would you eat potato salad or macaroni salad that's room temperature?
No, and I have my concerns on that. There's a lot of those buffets out there, and I always have my concerns. And you'll be all right, But
Right, people always say
not
that.
after tonight with Dottie LeBeau. Okay, I'm just telling you that. Not after tonight. So we've got a little video here, and that we're going to have a discussion right after the video. And Frank, if you would just set that up for us.
Cockroaches are not the only threat to health. Flies also have dreadful habits. They too feed on animal droppings and rotting flesh before landing on food prepared for us. The trouble is that flies cannot eat solid food, so to be able to eat it, they have to liquefy it first, which they do by vomiting on it. At the same time, they will be contaminating the food with bacteria from the hairs on their legs and their excrement. Then they make it into a form of soup, which they suck back up through their mouth parts. And when they have finished, it's your turn.
So
Okay, Dottie.
you leave the door open for the summer season and the flies are coming in.
People think of flies as just a nuisance. They don't realize how easy it is for them to spread disease. And now that the warmer weather's getting here and you're going to have all the outside vendors, people have to be very careful. Not just people who work with food, but people like us who are out there.
Oh, absolutely.
When I see a fly, I just turn around and walk away.
Right.
I don't even want to.
Right, be part of that. Yeah, because you don't know where that fly has been.
Exactly.
You don't have. So, who would hire you to give a class? Like, how can we get a hold of you, and who would that be for?
People who work in commercial kitchens, doesn't matter which state they work in, someone in that establishment has to have a person certified in food safety.
Okay.
So, and
That's a law, that's a must?
that's in the FDA food
Yep.
code. Somebody has to be certified in food safety.
Okay.
So in Connecticut, the person who is opening a restaurant, say for the first time, would have to pass the national exam. In Rhode Island, you have to take a 15-hour class and then take the national exam.
Wow. And how many restaurants are actually doing this?
For them to get their business license,
They have
to
do
have
it.
that certificate
Okay.
to open.
It's required, okay.
It's required. And then periodically when the inspectors walk in, they have a right to ask questions. If you recently took the class, then you would have all the answers on the tip of your tongue. But when you've been away from the classroom, and especially if certain things in the food code that you don't use every day, that's when it's a little bit more difficult. And right now in Connecticut, there is no requirement that they have to recertify or take an exam every so many years. They're working on that right now. That's going to be...
Okay. I think that has to be law. That you have to have it. Because if the laws change, and certainly if you get, I mean, even in the jewelry industry, there's certain certifications that we have to take. You're handling all these different stones. You need to be recertified on all the stones, the newer stones. So I think that's got to be law. That, every, I don't know, what is it, 4 or 5 years or something, got to be recertified.
Well, the people who take the national exam get a certificate that's good for 5 years.
Okay, then after that.
And they're trying to change that while they're revising the Connecticut Food Code, and that's going to be one of the requirements. My inside sources are telling me that every 5 years they're going to require that the people take the exam.
Okay.
So
And usually is that the owner, Dottie, or the...
Might not be the owner, no.
Okay, so it can be anybody. It could be the manager or the food service manager.
Hopefully it's somebody who's actually working in the kitchen.
Yes, yes.
When I was in, I've been in hospitality for years and years, and so I took the test to be a manager of a restaurant. But before that, I was the assistant manager, and I didn't know much. And the inspector came to see me, and I cried. Susette, I can tell you.
Really?
Yes, because there were so many things that we were doing wrong.
Right,
That I
right.
had no idea that
Yeah.
we were doing them wrong. And, and of course, it's a very serious thing.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Kristin, and just having the few minutes here with Dottie. I think sometimes it's things that's instilled in us when we were growing up, and some things that we just take for it's common sense, but not necessarily good common sense. So there's that line, but we need to be really educated and instructed. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, anybody that would be interested in that, or anybody that goes to a lot of these nice restaurants, they should take the course just to have in the back of your head. I don't know.
Well, what happens for me too is that because I know all this information, I know all these details, and I wanted to find out from you, Dottie, what you think. It became hard in the very beginning after I took the course. It became hard to go out and to even trust that what was supposed to be happening in the kitchen was happening. But eventually, the further I got away from it, you have to have a little bit of trust. Otherwise I feel like I'm paranoid all the time. Do you find that too, Dottie?
Oh, when I go out to eat in Rhode Island, if I don't know the restaurant myself, I go online, because in Rhode Island they post the inspectors' reports.
Oh, interesting.
So I've learned, obviously I know how to read their reports, I know what they're writing about.
Right.
So I can read between the lines too.
But most restaurants that you find, they're doing it right, aren't they?
The majority of them,
Yeah.
they try, yes,
Okay,
they
yeah.
try. But there's still 48 million people a year in the United States get a foodborne illness. 48 million people in the United States every year.
And you might not know it's a foodborne illness. To me,
Right.
people
It's
say
just-
like, oh, it was a bug going around or whatever, but a lot of times I think people have foodborne illness and they might not know it.
Exactly. Or they end up with a debilitating disease that they don't realize is
Came
associated with food.
Right. So at a restaurant where, I mean, not to be paranoid or to...
That's all right, you can be
to
paranoid.
a little bit, I'm kind of like, I've got all these things in my head. I'm looking at you, Dottie. Thank you for being on the show. But so we're sitting there at a restaurant. We're having a good time. The food comes. Is there anything that we can do there while it's sitting in front of us, or we just take our chance? Well, obviously, if there's a fly, we can say, take it back.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, one time I came, they delivered my meal to me, and there was a hole in the middle of my mashed potatoes, so I asked the server what that was for. I thought maybe I was supposed to put my gravy or something there. And she goes, oh, I put my finger in it to make sure it was still hot because it was sitting up on the shelf for a few minutes before I could serve it to you.
BTW. I put my finger in it.
Okay, so that's one. I mean, the flies are an obvious. The question that you asked, I mean, that would be an obvious to me as well. I mean, if there's something, that should be in there. But I would have thought the gravy too, when it might be a reason why it had a hole in it. But anyways, Dottie, this has just been a fantastic show. But let's get back to that kitchen a little bit. I have a lot of concerns about that kitchen. Wearing hats, wearing
Hair restraints.
hair restraints. Okay, very, very important as well, or people don't?
No, that's one of the first things. If I have to wear a hat when I go into a kitchen while I'm doing an inspection, the others should have one on. Or, like I said, a hair restraint. The whole idea is to keep any hair from falling
Sure.
in food. I mean, because we all lose an average 100 hairs a day, and they're not always going down the shower drain, so where are they going?
Yeah, exactly. And gloves? I mean, is that something, because
That's a misconception a lot of people have about wearing gloves. They think they have to wear them all the time. And it's only for when you're handling ready-to-eat food.
I see.
So
Yep.
if you're handling, say, raw hamburger and you're making meatballs, who cares? They're going to be cooked. But you go into an establishment, say like a donut shop, they'll use a deli tissue because they can't use their bare hand to touch the donut, the muffin, or whatever it is.
Okay, so look for that. Just make sure you're looking for that.
A lot of people, like I said, Joe Q Public, somebody who's never taken a food safety class, thinks they have to be wearing gloves all the time. And that's a misconception. But if it boils down to good PR, as long as your employees know when they have to wear them and when they don't have to wear them. The big thing is a lot of times people will take off a pair of gloves and turn around and put a new pair on without washing their hands in between.
That's another little
So when
tip
you're
there.
volunteering, actually,
Right,
like, there's a lot of that going
there's
on.
a lot of there is a lot of
Yeah.
that going on, and
Yeah.
handling the food as well.
I think she has some classes coming up, and I think we might
Yeah,
have
we need
the
to
dates.
get that out.
Yes, June 19th, I'm teaching a class for the Connecticut food workers at the
Is it up here?
Yes, the Ocean Community YMCA.
Yep,
It's
Arcadia, yeah.
exit 3
Yes,
off of
yeah.
95. So that class will be for any of the people working in Connecticut. I will do a 4-hour review and then give the exam, but because there's no classroom requirement here in Connecticut, some of those are going to just walk in and hope they can wing it.
Which is what I did the first time I took the test. I got like a 74 or something.
Okay,
The second
all
time,
right.
I aced it. Anyway, you're, another class, you have a second
Yes,
one later on?
October 23rd, it's also a Monday. And the same thing, I offer the 4-hour review and then give the test.
Okay.
So people
4
can-
hours isn't even enough time.
It doesn't seem like it's. I mean, the CPR and first aid is that's basically a whole day, or sometimes even
Right.
2 days. And the boating safety is. I think this is just, if not even more important, because it's consumption.
And they can get books beforehand, right? And study
Yes.
beforehand,
If
and
they-
then go to the 4-hour review.
Right, I have a textbook that I use. It's a very simple book. It's only 75 pages, so you can get through it pretty quickly. And I send it out usually 2 weeks before the class, so they have it read before they get to see me. Then we do a review, and then we give the national test.
There's a lot of
That's
those
fantastic.
those cartoons in there, you know.
Oh, yeah,
where it's like,
yeah.
what is he doing wrong? And he's like picking his nose or something like this. So.
Well, we've got Dottie LeBeau's group on the screen right there, and that's how you can get a hold of her. But Dottie, this has been not only an eye-opening for us here on the show, but certainly I commend you for all your dedication to the food industry. It's very important work, and we thank you for that.
thank you for
continue
having
to do great work in our community in Rhode Island and in Connecticut. So I'm glad you're on. So we're wrapping it up, Kristin.
I'm about to wash my hands.
I'm about to just take this all in and eat at home tonight. Okay? No, but like Dottie said, just there are signs. Look for them, and also, get online. Make yourself aware of some of these restaurants. And I like the idea of looking and seeing the food certification. And you just have given us just some really, really great information, and we appreciate it. So thank you. We are wrapping it up for the evening. Don't forget June 22nd, a really great business after hours. And thank you, Kristin,
Thank you,
for all
Susette.
you do. We're ramping it up for Mystic, and we hope to see you back next week. I don't know if you saw this table. It's not good. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Mystic Matters. Good evening.